The 2019-2020 Vespa Sprint 150 Sport. Piaggio's Vespa division beefed up its small-frame Vespino offerings with the MY2018 Sprint 150 Sport that serves as the top-shelf unit for the model family. The Sport line comes in its own distinctive color packages with a sticker package that further sets it apart from its siblings, but it's the details that are less obvious at a glance that really makes the Sport special. Upgraded lighting and electronics boost safety and infotainment options as the icing on the cake. Vespa Sprint 150 Sport design. The Vespino Little Wasp is arguably one of the most recognized designs in all of scooterdom. That serves to reason since Piaggio Vespa helped shape the scooter market in post-World War II Italy as it strove to provide affordable, reliable transportation for the masses within a shattered national infrastructure. Roots like that are impossible to fake, so the Sprint 150 Sport rolls with an authenticity all its own. It starts in the high-mount front fender with its deep valance to control the spray from the front hoop in inclement weather. Sure, many of the old-school models carried their headlight down on the fender, and if you want that look I would direct you to the Say Journey 2nd Edition instead. This model carries its headlight in the handlebar fairing behind a flattened sextagonal lens with a duplex LED setup for the low and high beams. LED tech continues into the blinkers, and here we find a difference between the European and US models. The former has recessed turn signals set within the outboard edges of the legguard fairing for a very clean look, but due to traffic laws here, the US models carry its blinkers in external, handlebar mount bullet housings. On the face of the fairing you'll find the classic tie detail complete with 3 contrast painted chevrons and a newly designed horn cover and a chrome brand script to finish it off. As with models past, the handlebar fairing serves as the instrument housing, but to modernize IY, the factory abandoned the analog speedo in favor of a color TFT display configurable to display the various metrics to suit. A handful of idiot lights round out the instrumentation, but the real star here is the stock Vespa multimedia platform that networks with your smartphone and lets you handle hands-free calls and jam to your saved tunes. A small glove box below in the inner leg fairing comes complete with a power port that lets you charge your mobile devices underway. It doesn't hold much, but it's a trade-off since it's the ABS module that displaces the room on the right side of the glove box. A short tunnel protrudes up into the step-through with a non-skid plate on top that doubles as the battery cover, and at the front of the seat there's a hook for a little bit of open-air cargo carrying capacity. Underseat dry storage holds a single full-face bucket, and the lockable seat can be released wirelessly through the key fob or manually via the release tab in the glove box. There's room on the footboards and the seat for a passenger, and the chrome JC handle gives them something to hold onto besides yourself. Like the front, the rear blinkers come in external bullet fairings with a taillight that rocks an LED horseshoe behind a square lens to finish out the rear lighting. Vespa Sprint 150 Sport chassis. The Sprint family relies on a monocoque structure that uses the stamped sheet metal panels and welded reinforcement plates for its strength, all in the absence of any kind of underframe assembly. Result? A light yet strong body that leaves plenty of room under the skin for the innards for an easy-to-work-on machine. Vespa also goes its own way in the front suspension with the old-school, aircraft landing gear that has a trailing link and coil over shock to absorb the bumps in the road. Suspension travel is predictably short at 3.0 inches up front and 2.75 inches out back. While the front shock is fixed in its values, the rear shock comes with 4 preload presets to let you dial in for changing cargo, passenger loads. A 200mm disc and juice caliper slows the front wheel under the protection of the stock ABS feature, but the rear brake is all about the old school with its 140mm mechanical drum brake. Cast aluminum is the material of choice for the 12-inch wheels that mount a 110/70ths and 120/70ths hoop to give the Sport its small wheel look. Vespa Sprint 150 Sport drivetrain. It's the power plant that makes the Sprint 150 Sport such a green-friendly machine with its 94 mpg fuel economy rating. That pairs with the 2-gallon gas tank under the seat to give it a respectable range to boot. The forced air-cooled thumper rocks a 58 mm bore and 58.6 mm stroke for a total displacement of 154.8 cc. It relies on a single overhead cam to actuate the 3 valves in the head. The Sprint has a throttle body and electronic port fuel injection to deliver the dyno juice with an atmospheric pressure detector to help maintain a proper stoichiometric ratio. Scooter riders are accustomed to twist-and-go operation, and the Sprint 150 is no exception. A dry, centrifugal clutch couples engine power to the constant velocity transmission with an overall drive ratio that turns out a top speed around 70 miles per hour at the redline. The power figures are respectable with 12.9 horsepower on tap at 7,750 revolutions per minute backed up by 9.4 pound-feet of torque at 6,500 revolutions per minute. Vespa Sprint 150 Sport pricing. The stock 2020 Sprint 150 Sport rolls for $5,749 MSRP. It comes in a choice between 2 special sport paint packages, a glossy gray Grigio Materia and a satin blue Vivace. Vespa Sprint 150 Sport competitors. There are plenty of scooter builders around the world, but since the Sprint 150 Sport is a top-drawer product, I wanted to find some competitors that are, as well. The Yamaha Zuma 125 borrows from the Italian style while putting its own spin on things, so let's roll with that. Yamaha Zuma 125. The headlight on the Zuma 125 is mounted in the legguard and the handlebar is naked to give the front a much different finish than the Sprint. It relies on an underframe for its structure, so the step-through deck is flush all the way across to allow for more tween-the-feet stowage than the less generous Sprint. The rear end is cut back to expose more of the rear wheel, and set next to the classic wasp tail Vespa, it doesn't have the visual appeal the i-Type brings to the table. Yamaha uses hydraulic forks to support the front end instead of the shock and link system favored by Vespa. This means the Zuma looks more like a proper motorcycle as far as the front fork goes, but without any adjustments, there really is no advantage one way or the other. Yamaha gets a leg up on the competition with all-around disc brakes, but the trade-off is that Yamaha sends the Zuma out the door without ABS protection. Power comes from a 125cc, 4-valve 4-stroke mill with 7 pound-feet of torque to fall short of the Vespa's grunty 9.4 pound performance, and top speed takes a hit as well with around 61 miles per hour at the top end. Vespa isn't one to use price as a selling point, so that leaves room for a minor win for the Yamaha Zuma at the checkout with its $3,499 price tag. Read our full review of the Yamaha Zuma 125. He said, "Cute little ride, and certainly more handy around town than the 50cc version. At 70 miles per hour, it technically qualifies as interstate capable, though personally, I won't hit the superslab on anything that won't do at least 90 miles per hour to keep from being run over by the folks who want to do 100 or so. That said, it's fine for highways and faster inner-city streets." She said. My wife and fellow motorcycle rider, Alan Hinton, says, "I'd have to agree with my husband on some points. Legally, the 154cc engine is allowed on the interstate, but if I have to wind it up to its top speed and keep it there the whole trip, that leaves nothing in the way of roll-on. It's better to stay on main arteries and secondary roads." That being said, the Sprint 150 Sport is a true to its name in that it's a sporty ride, both responsive and energetic. The 12-inch wheels give better handling and better ride quality than the previous 11-inchers, in my opinion. Of course bigger wheels would improve that even more, but for what it is, it's a nice scooter, albeit a little pricey. Vespa Sprint 150 Sport specifications.
If you liked this video, please share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.